The burdened heart. VO, time often spins too fast, but certain encounters freeze its wheel. This is the story of two women, Lady Hazelthorn, who had read life like a massive, well-worn book, and Julie, who was stumbling over its first pages. Their meeting created a bridge between deep experience and raw inexperience. Lady Hazelthorn, whose 60 years had left only gentle lines on her face, sat peacefully in her courtyard, a cup of tea in hand. Her eyes held the rare glow of inner peace and contentment. Her serenity was broken only by the sight of Julie, the 22-year-old from next door, entering the garden. Julie's face was a fragmented puzzle of distress, her steps not tired, but utterly confused. Lady Hazelthorn, voice full of warmth and familiarity. Julie? Oh, my dear, come here. You look terribly burdened. Is something troubling you? Julie tried to dismiss her, her voice laced with fatigue. Nothing, Lady Hazelthorn.
I'm all right.
Just one of those days. It was a lie Lady Hazelthorn saw right through. Lady Hazelthorn, offering a second cup of tea. Your one of those days usually signals a storm brewing. The burden on your heart doesn't hide well at your age. Sit down, drink this tea like me. Perhaps it will lighten the load. Julie accepted the invitation, sinking onto the garden bench. For several minutes, there was only silence, broken by the gentle sounds of sipping tea. Lady Hazelthorn waited, knowing a heart overflowing needed time to speak on its own terms. The eruption of frustration. Finally, Julie could hold back no longer. She took a shuddering breath, and the dam of her emotions burst. Julie, voice filled with frustration, bordering on tears. I don't know what to do anymore. I came here straight after a massive fight with my husband, Marcus. It's always an argument, a confrontati. The priceless secret revealed. Lady Hazelthorn, now serious and deeply wise. This is a great lesson, Julie. Truly, in a heated argument, there is rarely a right or a wrong side. There are only two egos fighting for dominance and victory. And that victory hollows out the relationship. Lady Hazelthorn placed her teacup aside, took Julie's hand, and looked her straight in the eyes. Lady Hazelthorn, Julie, listen. After today, I won't just tell you how to end a fight. I will tell you the secret to preventing the fight from ever beginning. This is the priceless secret I learned in my 60 years of life and marriage. The background music swells slightly with curiosity and dramatic flair. Lady Hazelthorn, the secret is silence and a smile. Julie, with disbelief. Just that? But that sounds like surrendering, like weakness. Lady Hazelthorn, chuckling softly. Weakness? No, my child. It is the ultimate strength, a profound power. When Marcus is angry, when he snaps at you, or says something hurtful, you must instantly become silent. Completely silent. Let that silence be your weapon. Your defense will not be your words, but your silence. Lady Hazelthorn, and once he has finished his tirade, instead of replying immediately, just look at him with a deep, peaceful smile. A smile that conveys, I understand you, but I will not join you in this fight. He will be completely baffled by your unexpected silence and smile. His anger, which desperately needed your argument as fuel, will find none. It will extinguish itself and be left feeling shamed. The logic of non-resistance. VO, Julie struggled to process this counterintuitive advice. To her 22-year-old mind, silence was defeat, and a smile was mockery. Lady Hazelthorn sensed her hesitation and decided to elaborate, drawing on years of OBS. The test of fire. Lady Hazelthorn's first lesson. Julie, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. I see the philosophy, Lady Hazelthorn, but is it truly practical? Can a smile really conquer fire? Lady Hazelthorn, it can and it did. I shall tell you the first time I used this secret with my late husband, Arthur. It was early in our marriage. I was about your age. Arthur was a brilliant architect, but fiercely temperamental, especially when stressed about a major project. One evening, he came home after losing a crucial contract. VO, The air in the courtyard seemed to change, as Lady Hazelthorn mentally traveled back 5 decades. Lady Hazelthorn. He didn't just walk in, he stormed in, throwing his briefcase onto the floor. I had spent hours preparing a special meal. He looked at the dinner table, then at me, his eyes blazing. He snapped, "You've burnt the chicken again. Can't you do anything right? This whole house is a mess, just like my career right now." I felt a familiar surge of anger. I wanted to scream back that I had worked hard all day. Lady Hazelthorn, but I remembered a small piece of advice my grandmother had given me. Wait for the storm to pass before you speak. I went utterly silent. I walked to the window, took a deep breath, and turned back to face him. I did not justify the chicken. I did not cry. I simply looked at my furious husband and gave him the most gentle, loving smile I could muster. Arthur's retreat. Lady Hazelthorn. So, there I stood, silent and smiling. Arthur was ready for a shouting match, but my response completely derailed his anger. He stared at me, his mouth half open. He repeated the insult. "Did you even hear me? The chicken is burnt." I still didn't speak. I simply walked over to him, gently picked up his briefcase, and without looking at the burnt chicken, I placed my hand on his arm. The only thing my smile said was, "I know you're hurting, and I still love you." VO, Lady Hazelthorn paused, letting the weight of the memory settle. Lady Hazelthorn. His energy just collapsed. The fire in his eyes died out. He saw the calmness on my face, and suddenly, he didn't see a bad cook. He saw his distressed wife. He looked down at the floor, muttered a quick, almost inaudible "I'm sorry, Hazelthorn," and walked straight to his study. He stayed there for an hour. When he finally emerged, he came to me, hugged me tight, and confessed everything about losing the contract. He didn't mention the chicken again, but I knew he was truly apologetic for his harsh words. Lady Hazelthorn. That night, I realized a profound truth, Julie. When you choose silence and peace over defending your ego, you force the other person to confront their own actions. My silence shifted the focus from the burnt chicken to his pain. Had I argued about the dinner, we would have fought about dinner, and his deeper pain would have remained untouched and unresolved. This, my dear, is the strength of non-resistance. Julie, voice filled with wonder. That is revolutionary. I always thought fighting fire with fire was the only way to gain respect. The lesson of shared blame. Lady Hazelthorn. Respect is gained through wisdom, not volume. I have another memory, one where I wasn't entirely innocent. It was 5 years later. We were driving to a wedding, and Arthur insisted we take a shortcut. We ended up horribly lost and late. He was frantic, cursing the map and the traffic. I, feeling equally frustrated, wanted to remind him that I had suggested the main road. VO, this time, Lady Hazelthorn's tone became slightly self-deprecating, illustrating her own journey towards wisdom. Lady Hazelthorn. My first instinct was to say, "I told you so." The deadliest phrase in any marriage. But I remembered the power of silence. He was sweating, stressed, shouting at the GPS. I remained quiet. Finally, he slammed the steering wheel and looked at me, ready to place the blame. He said, "If you had just paid better attention to the signs, maybe we wouldn't be here." Lady Hazelthorn. In that moment, I could have started the war. But I did 2 things. First, I gave a silent prayer for patience. Second, I gave him my calmest, most understanding smile. Instead of arguing about the signs, I said, very gently, "I know we're both frustrated, Arthur. Let's just pull over for a moment, take a breath, and look at the map together. We are a team, remember?" Julie. And what did he do? Lady Hazelthorn. He was instantly disarmed. When you refuse to play the blame game, the game ends. He deflated immediately. He pulled over, apologized for blaming me, and we worked together. The important thing, Julie, is this. Always treat your relationship as a team against the problem, not 2 individuals against each other. My smile reminded him of the team. Julie's first challenge. VO, Julie spent another hour with Lady Hazelthorn, absorbing every detail, every nuance of the silence and smile secret. As she walked home, she felt a strange mix of fear and excitement, the fear of a confrontation and the excitement of a new strategy. She was determined to try the secret the very next morning. The next day, Julie's nervousness was palpable. Marcus, her husband, was always stressed before leaving for his demanding job. As he hurried out the door, he noticed his car keys were missing from the usual bowl. Marcus, loud, sharp, and accusatory. Julie, where are my keys? I swear, you always move them. Can't you just leave things where they belong? I'm going to be late because of this ridiculous mess. VO, Julie felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. Her immediate urge was to shout back, "They're not here. Check your own pockets. I didn't touch them." But then, she remembered Lady Hazelthorn's serene face and the word, silence. Julie froze, closed her eyes for a split second, and took a deep breath. She didn't utter a word. Marcus watched her, waiting for the expected explosion. When it didn't come, his voice trailed off. Julie simply walked calmly to the kitchen counter where the keys had fallen behind a fruit bowl. She picked them up, walked back, and placed them gently in his hand. Then, she looked up, gave him a small, genuine, and unhurried smile. The power of the pause. The effect on Marcus was immediate and profound. He was completely thrown off balance. His brain was prepared for a fight, but his eyes were met with peace. Marcus, his voice softening, tinged with confusion. You found them. Thanks. He waited for the inevitable lecture. See? You shouldn't shout at me. Or, if you weren't so messy. But no words came. Just that gentle smile. Julie. In her mind, silence. 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 Marcus hesitated for a moment longer, looking at his wife's calm face. He saw no anger, no resentment, only a quiet assurance. He felt a sudden, sharp pang of guilt. He quickly pecked her on the cheek and rushed out, calling, "Sorry I snapped. See you tonight." VO, Julie leaned against the door, shaking slightly. She had done it. She had survived the first test without fighting. She realized the secret wasn't just about silence. It was about the pause. The pause between the stimulus, Marcus's anger, and the reaction, her shout, was where the power lay. By choosing the pause, she chose peace. She couldn't wait to tell Lady Hazelthorn. The confession and the next step. Julie rushed over to Lady Hazelthorn's courtyard that afternoon. Julie, excitedly. Lady Hazelthorn. It worked. He snapped at me about his keys, and I was ready to explode. But I kept silent. I just found the keys and gave him the smile. He apologized. He actually apologized without me even mentioning his anger. Lady Hazelthorn, smiling serenely, of course it worked. The apology came not because you demanded it, but because you created the space for his better nature to surface. You didn't give his anger a partner. Now, Julie, this is important. The first time is easy because it is unexpected. The real test is consistency. When he sees you refuse to fight again and again, his expectations will slowly change. Lady Hazelthorn, tonight will be the second lesson, and it's a difficult one. When Marcus comes home, he may have had a bad day at work, and he might test your resolve with a more sustained attack. Your task remains the same, silence and smile. But now, I want you to add a third step, the question of compassion. Julie, the question of compassion? Lady Hazelthorn, yes. Once he has calmed down, and only then, I want you to ask him, with genuine love, "Are you okay, darling? Something seems to be upsetting you today. Did something happen at work?" Your question must address the cause of the anger, not the target, which is you. You shift from being his target to his ally. Julie's second test, the dinner critique. VO. That evening, Marcus arrived home late, clearly stressed. Julie had prepared a new recipe she was excited about. As soon as Marcus sat down, the stress translated into irritation. Marcus, sighing heavily. What is this? This smells different. Why can't you just stick to the simple dishes I like? You know I don't like trying new things after a tough day. VO, Julie felt the familiar stab of hurt. She had spent 2 hours on this meal. She wanted to defend her effort, point out his selfishness, and argue about her freedom to cook. But Lady Hazelthorn's words echoed in her mind. Julie placed her fork down. She looked at Marcus, and with visible effort, she took a long, silent breath. She did not argue. She gave him that small, peaceful smile. Then, she calmly pushed her plate slightly away. Marcus was instantly confused. He expected fire, but got peace. He took a bite of the food, looking at her, waiting for the attack. When only silence came, he mumbled, "Well, it's edible. Just not what I wanted." Julie waited a full minute. Then, she gently applied the third step. "Julie," softly, genuinely, "I understand you had a rough day, darling. You seem really agitated. Is everything okay? Did something happen with the new client today?" The shift to allyship. VO, Julie's compassionate question changed the entire dynamic. Marcus's face melted from irritation to profound sadness. He realized his anger was completely disproportionate to the meal. Marcus, voice cracking slightly, "No, I'm not okay. I messed up. Julie, I lost a huge opportunity today. I shouted at my boss. I'm afraid I might be fired." VO, the revelation was a watershed moment. Julie realized that the argument about the dinner was never about the food. It was about the fear and stress Marcus carried. She had been fighting the symptom instead of treating the cause. Julie immediately went to him, hugged him tight, and apologized. "I am so sorry you had such a terrible day, Marcus. I should have asked sooner. Forget the dinner. We are a team, remember? Whatever happens, we will face it together." Marcus, whispering, "I'm so sorry, Julie. I took my anger out on you. And I saw you smile. Why did you smile?" Julie, "I smiled because I love you and I didn't want to lose us to a bad day at work. I smiled because I knew the real fight was somewhere else." VO, that night, they talked for hours, not as adversaries, but as allies, rebuilding their intimacy brick by brick. Lady Hazelthorn's final testament. The next day, Julie returned to Lady Hazelthorn, radiant with newfound understanding. "Julie, Lady Hazelthorn, it's a miracle. We didn't argue. We cried, we talked, and we bonded. It was never about the dinner. It was always about his fear." Lady Hazelthorn, exactly. "My final advice, Julie, is this. You have learned the tool. Now understand the philosophy behind it. True love is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of unconditional acceptance." VO, Lady Hazelthorn's voice took on the tone of a final, solemn testament. "Lady Hazelthorn, your husband is not a child who needs correcting. He is a human being who needs compassion. When he attacks you, his true self is usually screaming for help, not for a fight. Your silence and smile gives him the dignity to retreat, and your compassionate question gives him the courage to confess his real pain. Lady Hazelthorn, never try to change him by fighting. Change him by loving him consistently in the face of his worst behavior. That is the ultimate act of love and the final key to a happy life. Remember, the person you love is always more important than the point you want to prove." The legacy of peace. VO, Julie understood that she hadn't just saved her marriage, she had grown up. The lessons of Lady Hazelthorn were not just marital advice, they were life lessons about emotional maturity, self-control, and the power of peace. "Julie, Lady Hazelthorn, I feel like you've given me a lifetime of wisdom in 3 simple steps. How can I ever repay you?" Lady Hazelthorn, smiling warmly, "You don't need to repay me, my dear. Just pass the secret on. Let your life be a testament to its power. When you see another young woman struggling with the same fire you faced, offer her the cool water of silence and the warmth of a smile." VO, the 2 women sat together in the quiet courtyard, the gentle sunlight filtering through the trees. Their conversation had spanned 75 minutes of emotional intensity, covering decades of wisdom and the struggles of a young heart. The atmosphere was no longer tense, but filled with quiet, profound understanding. VO, Julie realized that her problems were not unique. Every generation faces the same struggles. Only the wisdom to handle them changes hands, passed on from one seasoned soul to a seeking spirit. Conclusion and the team. VO, Julie left the courtyard that day, no longer the fragmented, distraught young woman who had entered. She carried with her not a defense mechanism, but a philosophy of life, the philosophy of the team. She and Marcus would face their problems together, always. There would be disagreements, yes, but never any more battles. Her journey had proved that the loudest voices are often the most fearful, and that the greatest strength is found not in retaliation, but in stillness. The priceless secret of silence and a smile was now hers, a legacy of peace given by the wise Lady Hazelthorn. Sound of a gentle breeze and distant, peaceful sounds. VO. And so, the story closes not with a dramatic ending, but with a quiet, powerful beginning. The beginning of a long life lived together, based on mutual respect, deep compassion, and the understanding that sometimes, the simplest acts of love, a silent moment, a genuine smile, can conquer the fiercest storms. The greatest love stories are not about finding the perfect person, but about choosing to be a perfect team. And so, we leave Julie not where she began, but standing on the threshold of a new life, a life built on wisdom, not reaction. The priceless secret of Lady Hazelthorn was not a trick for winning a domestic war. It was the profound realization that true power lies in peace, and ultimate victory belongs to compassion. Julie learned that when you refuse to be an adversary, you force the other person to recognize you as their ally. Remember this. The journey to a beautiful relationship begins with the mastery of self. The silence holds the dignity, and the smile carries the unwavering promise. I will not let this moment of anger define the years of our love. May this story serve as a guiding star for every heart that struggles with the fire of conflict. Choose stillness over stress. Choose understanding over argument. Final, gentle statement. Because the greatest love story is not about finding the perfect partner, but about consistently choosing to build the perfect team. If this powerful story touched your heart or gave you a new perspective, let us know by hitting the like button right now. For more deeply moving and insightful content just like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. And please, don't keep this priceless secret to yourself. Share this video with your friends and anyone you know who needs this wisdom today. Your simple share could bring peace into someone's life. This script successfully blends the emotional conclusion of the narrative with a strong, effective promotion for your channel's likes, shares, and subscribes.